Hey everyone, it's Jason and welcome to Firefly Misbehaving, a factions deck building game. This is video part 2. If for some reason you didn't watch video part 1, I went through the rules. It's kind of a lengthy video, but I wanted to make sure I got all the big nuances and details of how the game is played and all the different unique mechanics, because this isn't just a typical deck builder game. It also incorporates some tableau building and some factions. It's a little asymmetrical deck building game. So yeah, if you want more insight to what the game actually is and how it plays and how it works, go back, check out video 1. This video, we're going to go through all the actual cards. So let's just hop right into it. We're going to start off with the backs of the cards. Just Firefly Misbehaving, a factions deck building game. So I'm going to have the same little back there. So we're going to start off with the Serenity faction deck. So on the bottom corner, it'll tell you what card is, so it's one of that. So you can usually pull them back out later on. But they're all going to be different colored, which is going to be very helpful. So Firefly cards are yellow, Eves Down are brown, Alliance are bluish, and Niskas are all going to be red for your 4 different starter factions. And then even the other decks are going to be a little bit different. Your main market decks, we have Rim Space, Border Space, and Core Space. Each have, besides the different pictures, it's kind of like blue, gray, and purple. So they do that as well. And then the market decks are all kind of more of a general black with a little bit different styling to them. So you can usually separate everything out at the end of the game, which is really nice. So let's just kind of go through like this. We're going to start off with Brown Coat. So this will let us trigger it to draw a card. So it's going to be very helpful if you just need extra card. Maybe someone made you discard a card the previous turn. Maybe you just need an extra card to try and buy something. That could be very helpful. We have the common area. Trigger to reveal top 2 cards from your deck. Discard 1, add the other to your hand. So very much like the last one, because you draw a card because you're still getting one, but you have a little bit of options. But also the other thing is that means the other card's going to your discard, so you won't get it for a while. But this also has some power and some influence on it as well. The Frontier Model B. His pistol just has our fight icon, so we can use this to fight. Discard this card from your hand to deal or to cancel a deal or a steal. This is kind of helpful. This is one of the ones where it might be worth just keeping in your hand rather than playing it for its other effects, just depending on what you're doing. The Hidey Hole. Discard this card from your tableau, then discard a targeted card in your command area to evade a fight. Nice. So yeah, someone's trying to steal or kidnap or defeat one of your guys. Rather than, I don't have enough cards to play to do it, you can discard this to just avoid it altogether. Of course, we're going to get Malcolm Reynolds on the ship, who has a deal and a fighting ability. And a trigger. Discard this card from your hand to gain credits equal to its power. So play him on there, works as a good character, good influence, he's pretty decent all around. Or you can just use them right off the bat, like, hey, discard him to gain your some extra credits you just spend for some other stuff. What would the Serenity deck be without Serenity itself? Trigger this card to retain a character used in a fight. Ooh, that's helpful. Plus it's 3 power. Standard Radion Accelerator Core. Trigger this card and a ship in your tableau without the effect, then draw a card. So this one has to team up with something else. But the thing is, what you can do is once you have Serenity in there, if you're not using it for this, you can always trigger this for that. But also keep in mind, though, if you trigger both of them to draw a card, you are going to draw 1 less card, 2 less cards at the end of your turn because you have 2 cards triggered. You can't take this guy from me. Discard this card from your tableau to gain 1 activation. Then add 1 the black to your recycle pile. That's always helpful. Extra activations, you can make play another card, trigger something else. make another deal or a fight. Can be very helpful. We have a second version here. I like it has different artwork, same exact stats, just a different picture, which is really cool. And then the last one we have is Zoe Allion, who has fight and deal, much like Malcolm. Trigger, draw 2 cards, then discard 1 card from your hand. So very interesting. So like Malik, you just draw 1 card. Shilk, you draw 2 cards, then choose 1 to discard. And then we had the other one right off the bat that was the common area, which lets you look at the top 2, discard 1 and draw 1. So they're all kind of very similar effects. You're only getting 1 card, but they're all going to work very differently, because even the difference between these two is that this you have to discard 1 of the cards from the top of your deck. Here, I can draw 2 cards. I can keep those brand new cards, then discard an older card. So they kind of all work a little bit differently. Then the last thing we have is the verse tokens. So this is how they're going to earn theirs. So have at least 1 untriggered character in the tableau and discard an untriggered cards from your hand or tableau with a cost of at least 4. And then now we can spend these tokens to do this. Either spend 2 to gain extra activation, 2 to draw a card, 2 to gain 1 extra recruitment, or we can use 1 to either retain a card from a fight or a deal, or to replay a maneuver. I think the last 2 are going to be the same. Yeah, they're the same for all the characters. But then the other the other 3 abilities are different for each different faction. Just kind of, and how you gain them are different. If we flip this over on the back, it's just a reminder of what you can do in your turn. 1 activation, 1 recruitment, earn a verse token by meeting one of those things, or spend 1, which you can do as many times as you want. In your activation, you can either play a card to your tableau and trigger it, trigger a card in its tableau for its lightning bolt, pick a fight or make a deal, and then how to do a fight action. So pretty cool. Alright, that is our Serenity set. Let's jump into Eves Down. Kind of, I think, like the second one. It's kind of interesting they call it Eves Down and not, I guess it's Serenity, not Firefly. Specifically the ship. It's just interesting how they name it, because then we got Niska himself. Where this they could just call him Badger. Could have called 1 Malcolm, like you're playing as one of the 4 main characters of the Alliance, like Harkin or something. It's just kind of interesting that they did it this way. But here we go. We have Eves Down. We have Badger, who has a deal. He's going to gain you 3 credits. So that's actually pretty darn powerful, right? He's going to spend for making deals and stuff. The Den of Thieves. Discard this card from your tableau to do 1 of the following. Draw a card, gain 1 activation, or gain 1 credit. So you can see how much different they're playing with the other one. Firefly had a lot of stuff with letting you get extra cards, draw extra cards. They're letting you do it a little bit different way. The Eves Down docks. Draw 1 card and gain 1 activation. We are going to actually get 3 of those. So they're kind of neat. Probably not enough footage to get enough different pictures of each one. The Eves Down Runner. Trigger, look at the top card of any player's deck and put it back or discard it. That's kind of cool. Like, you flip it over, oh, it's the black. It's a useless card. Let them keep it. Like, oh no, it's, they have Malcolm. Crap, I can't let them get there. They have Serenity. You could do that. It's kind of cool. The Fluid Situation. Discard this card from your hand to cancel a deal or a steal, then gain 1 credit from the supply. So, Eves Down is all about getting credits. We have the Henchman. Add 1 power max to this Henchman in a fight for each credit you spend. And this is where them credits come in very handy. We have a second Henchman with a different picture, which I do love. And then a very fine hat. Trigger, discard this card from your tableau, then discard 1 supply card from your hand to your cycle pile, and adds cost to your influence pool. Neat. So you get an extra... so you discard 1 supply card, adds cost to your influence pool. So you get in your influence. It's kind of neat. Supply card. I think the idea there is because then you're getting the influence from a supply card, but it's not being played, so it doesn't have to go back, so you don't lose it. Because in order if you play it for anything, then it goes away. Here it lets you basically retain it, so you can use the ability later, but it lets you get rid of it. Then we have their verse token. So have at least 2 untriggered characters in a tableau and have at least 2 assets in the tableau. So you can see the difference there is here we have to have 1 trigger and discard untriggered cards with at least 4 power. For this one, doesn't matter how many I have. I don't have to discard anything. I just have to have 2 untriggered characters and at least 2 assets. So I've got 4 cards out. So it might take a little bit longer to get this, but I don't have to require any cost or a certain amount. And then you can spend 3 tokens to gain an extra activation. So it costs 1 more than Serenity's. I can pay 2 to reset a card, which means reactivate it again. 1 to steal 2 credits from anywhere or retain any supplies. So you can definitely keep stealing credits from people. That's pretty cool. I like how they play very different. Alright, in red we have Adelaide Niska. So trigger to discard another card from your tableau to gain 4 credits. So sacrifice something for 4 credits. We have Crow. Discard Crow from your hand or tableau, add another card from your hand to potentially deal or gain 2 credits. We're going to get some mercenaries. Now notice that mercenaries are assets and not character cards. The same thing with the henchmen. They were assets. It's always just interesting to note. There are people always mean characters. And +1 powers mercenary when used to fight for each credit you spend up to 2. And we get 2 different mercenaries. We have Skyplex. Discard a maneuver. To cancel a maneuver is discarded without effect. Ooh, that could be very powerful. Special Machine. Trigger to discard a character from your tableau to dispatch a character in play. Then draw 1 card. So that's very helpful, right? Just straight up. You don't have to do a fight, action, ever. You can just discard a card to get rid of somebody else's character. And that says in play. So that means you could probably do it if they're, even if it's not like in their tableau, if they're playing it for something else, playing it for like a recruitment or a deal. I was going to see if they had the specific... Yeah, in tableau or face-up display area. So that's pretty cool. The Tiffany Lamp. Discard this card from your tableau to gain 1 recruitment or activation. And then eventually you'll get it back. The Torturer. Exhaust, discard a random card in any player's hand. So you can see Niska is going to be more attacking guys, right? They're going to be, because you make players discard stuff. You're going to have a lot of guys with guns, so you can do a lot more fight actions to discard and destroy them and stop their plans. Eve's Down is going to be all about purchasing stuff with credits. The Firefly or Serenity crew. It's kind of a little bit all around. It has some fights, has some stuff to discard, but it's a lot of avoidance, right? Avoid other people's stuff, avoid this, avoid that. Kind of an interesting thing. Then we have a Victor. Trigger to discard a card from your hand, and then draw 1 card to gain an activation. Also sacrificing stuff to gain bonuses. And then the Writings of Shan Yu. Reveal the top card of another player's deck. Add its influence to your pool. So that could be very, very cool. It could be very helpful. Then their verse card. Have at least 1 untriggered character in the tableau and discard 1 card with exactly 3 power or 3 influence. So, like Firefly, you only need 1 character, but there they had to have at least any number of cards with a total of 4. Here it has to be 1 specifically with a cost of 3. So essentially could almost be the same amount, but you might lose less cards in it. You might lose 1 versus 2 for the other one, maybe 3. But the fact is it has to be that exact card. And if we just go back and look at his cards, so none of the cards, we have a Skyplex you could discard. Crow, or Niska himself. So there's only 3 of his 10 cards that he starts with would be available. So he's not going to be able to activate that super often early. But also might dictate what you decide to buy. So you can trigger this more often. So he has 2, he gets 1 activation. 2 for a re-trigger on a card. 2 to draw a card or retain and replay. So also notice though he has a re-trigger, it lets him reuse that ability, versus Eves Down, which is reset a card, which means it's just not triggered anymore. So if you have another way to trigger it, you could trigger it again, but it also gets rid of that penalty of having a cost in your hand. Alright, then our last faction is the Alliance. So we're going to start with Agent McGinnis. Triggered, discard an untriggered card to gain credits equal to its influence. That's helpful. Get some extra influence there. Core space. I love the picture on there because I don't know if that's actually in the show at all like that. But that's the map from the Firefly board game. So I'm not sure if there's an actual map that just looks like that, or if they just put the board game map on there, which would be kind of cool. Influence of this card is equal to the number of core space cards in play. That's kind of neat. If you buy a lot of core, you stay in the core space with the Alliance, you're going to gain some really powerful cards. And we have 2 copies of those. The Cortex access device. Trigger, look at a player's hand. Like I've said in a ton of videos, I'm generally not someone that really cares what's in another player's hand in most games, like lots of games like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, something like that. Just thinking like I'm just doing my thing. I won't worry about it. This game could be very powerful to know what's in somebody else's hand, just because you can see what's coming up. See, like I'm gonna do this. Like, oh, do I know if they have this coming up or if this is gonna deal with it? Plus, I'm sure there's other cards you can use, or let you steal a card or discard from their hand. There can be some very good uses for that. We have an Ensign. Trigger this card and another card in your tableau on your turn to gain an activation. Yeah, so not bad. But also remember, if that's 2 cards triggered, that's 2 less cards you draw. There's Harken. Trigger to discard a card from your tableau to draw a card, then gain 3 credits. We have a Marine. +1 power and used in your fight with other Marines in your display area. So it's kind of neat. Eves Down has henchmen, Niska has mercenaries, and the Alliance has Marines. So they have extra troopers to fight. The Serenity doesn't have that, obviously. But theirs actually work a little bit differently because they gain more power and there's more Marines. So you have multiple Marines and they gain stronger. We have Radio Operator. Discard this card from the top of your tableau, go to the top of any player's deck, leave it there, or discard it. And then finally we have the Tohokushu class cruiser, which is their ship. Also noticing that they have a ship and Serenity has a ship, but Eves Down and Niska do not. This card counts as a core space card when played or moved to the display with another core space card. This card has no influence. And then their verse card. Have at least 1 untriggered character in the tableau and discard cards from the hand or tableau with at least 2 power and 2 credits or influence. So 4, just like Firefly, or Serenity, except instead of 4 power, it has to be 2 and 2. So a little bit cheaper to be able to do them, but it's still possibly 2 different cards at minimum. And so we get +1 activation. We can issue a warrant, tax 1 player a credit or supply 2 credits, and retain and replay. So yeah, they get a special extra ability on here, which is the warrant and taxing. Alright, so warrants work like this. May spend 2 bursts to issue warrants on a character in another player's tableau using a warrant side of one of the unspent versus tokens. Tokens. Well, a character has a warrant, they may not be used for abilities, power, influence, nor reset or removed from the tableau except by being nabbed or dispatched. The character also can't be used for earning burst tokens. However, having a warrant on a character has no effect on any win condition. So it prevents him from anything else other than being used for the win condition. To get rid of a warrant, that player must make a deal using a different card, of course, and then the alliance token returns the supply. So you just have to make a deal to that card. The deal also can initiate a recruitment. Essentially, the activation is wasted. No influence is needed for the deal. Once you remove the warrant, return to the verse token. So that's kind of a neat way for them to like spend two of their things to shut down another player, another player's character for a turn. And then the other thing we have is the credit. Tax. That's what I was looking for. Why does it not mention this in here? Let me take a look. Alrighty, here, so we have tax for the alliance. Tax can spend one burst token to take either one credit from another player or 2 credits from the supplies. So, taxing a player means you steal one of their credits, essentially. But the difference is it's not considered stealing, so you can't stop with an action that says stealing. Then we do have steal credits for ease down. Player can spend one burst to steal 2 credits from any player or from the bank. Yeah, so it's just an interesting way. So it's a way for them to essentially steal credits from other players without having to actually steal them. Alright, so we're going to look at the supply decks first, just because they're the main ones we're going to use. So we have the black here, and we have quite a few of them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 11 of them. So now, I'm not going to have these in exact order, but on the bottom it says supply. It has the number of each one. So each different black has a different number, so you can always keep track of how many you have. But the black will be one card that will always be out and available. And that is, if you get one, it doesn't do anything. It's no cost, no credits, no influence, or no power. As an action, it says return to the supply board when you play a location to one of your tableaus or trigger one. And now, there is not a single starter deck that starts with a location. So if you get the black card, you're kind of just stuck with it, and it's going to muck up your hand, giving you a crappy card until you get one. Also remember that the Serenity has 2 cards that potentially get you that. Can't take the sky from me, so they might get you these a little bit quicker than everybody else. And then we have 6 shiny, with the little Kaylee there. So that's 2 cost, 2 influence. Play to your display area to gain 3 credits, or gain 2 credits and cycle any 2 market cards. And remember, as soon as you play the supply cards for any of their effects, whether it's for influence, for power for something, or for its ability, it goes back to supply decks. So they're kind of temporary to buy. So they're a little bit cheaper than some of the other cards. But yeah, so we're going to buy these. It says, yeah, play your display area to gain 3 credits, or gain 2 credits and cycle any 2 marketplace cards. So it'll help you for doing buying stuff for making deals. So then we're going to have, I think, 5 of each of these. So we have Crazy Ivan, requires a ship, it is a maneuver. Reset a card or discard a random card from your hand to discard any card in a display area during a fight. So resetting a card is very helpful. You also spend a verse token uses again, so you can reset your cards. So I can play a bunch of cards or trigger a bunch of stuff. I can reset them with this, so that way they're not limiting my hand. Or it can be very helpful during a fight to like reduce somebody else's stuff. Pretty cool. We have 5 copies of Double Cross. Cancel a deal, steal, tax, or a double cross card. So it acts as a fight card, can start a fight, does 2 power towards that fight, but then now you can also use it to just cancel one of those things. There's Saffron and Monty there. Although I want to say she wasn't Saffron at that time, was she Princess? I might be wrong. 5 copies of a Firefly. Discard a card to gain 1 activation or draw 1 card. You may then remove a card in your hand or tableau from the game. This is a very powerful card. Because just to let you get rid of something, you purchase something from nab a card from somebody else, get rid of it. Hey, I took Niska from somebody else. Ooh, and I can use this to get rid of it. So now they don't have a chance to ever get it back. That could be pretty crazy. Or you could be like, no, I don't really need this early card. Or you can get rid of a black card. It can be very helpful for doing some of that. So very cool. We have 5 copies of Full Burn. Draw a card, then discard a card from your hand. Then choose. Force a player to add the black to the recycle pile or draw an additional card. That can be very helpful. Also remember though, with the market board, we have, besides the shiny and the black, you have 1 spot for a fight card, 1 for a deal, and 1 for a maneuver, and then the last one could be any of them. So I could have, so we've had so far, we have Crazy Ivan, Full Burn, Feiwu, and or 3 different maneuvers. We could have 2 of them out. We have Double Cross, which is one of our fights. So you're not going to have all these cards out every time, which is very interesting. We have 5 copies of Misbehavin. So on our fight cards, steal 3 credits from a player or cancel a deal or any effect that cancels a deal. So you can cancel a deal or cancel a cancel on a deal. Very helpful. We have 5 copies of The Dart. Trigger a card in any player's tableau for no effect, or gain 1 activation. That can shut down something, especially if it's one of these. Lots of these guys have to have an untriggered character to gain their verse token. You could trigger one of their characters, so now that way during their turn, they won't be able to spend it or use it. Actually, well, they'll be able to do it during their turn because because it'll reset them, but you can stop them from using them for other deals or activations and stuff. We have 5 copies of Negotiation. Cancel a deal or a steal, or evade a fight. The opposing player gains a reward as if winning a fight and gains 1 activation. And then the last one is Palveler. Palveler, you gain 1 credit from the supply when you move or play this card to your display area for any reason. So very simple. So all these cards cost very, very cheap. 2 3s, there's a couple of 4s in there. They're very neat cards. Alright, then let's look at our other decks. Let's start with Core Space. We're going to start with the Core Space. We have the Alliance Ident card. So up here it's going to show the bagger symbol for Eves Down. So it's not a requirement to use that card. It just means that if you're purchasing this card, Badger can use an influence token towards the purchase of this. So you can spend 1 influence token to make this 3 instead. Nobody else can do that. So just kind of some of these cards end up making that a little bit easier. That's kind of neat. Also notice the each different thing. Some of the items, the assets, and the character all have different borders. So trigger, spend credits as influence. Ooh, that can be very helpful. We can go to our first location. We have Ariel. Spend credits as influence. The Azrev ship. When this card is used in a fight, draw a card, then discard a card from your hand. Antherton Wing. This card has the fight and or deal if other cards you play have those attributes. So he's going to copy somebody else. Otherwise, it's kind of weak. Catalyzer. Discard this card to reset a ship. You may then also cycle 2 cards in the market. Dueling Sword. Trigger to dispatch a character in another player's tableau. Then you and that character's controller each draw one card. Now, I'm not putting out the bottom. They do have the little symbols down there. So we have like a triangle. So you have a bunch of triangles here. That one's a square. Those are for the episodes. If you're not playing with the episodes, like, you're just going to include all the decks. Yeah, then you your controller draw a card. Nice. Lets you get rid of somebody's character. Fenris. Trigger this card to cancel a deal unless the opposing player pays you 2 credits. Of course, we have to have Inara Sierra. That's kind of cool. She costs 6, but you can spend 2 of them to get her a little bit cheaper. To gain 2 credits. Very helpful. Jubal early. Dispatch a character and play, then gain 1 activation. You see, there's going to be a lot of stuff where you're going to play cards and people are going to be getting rid of them. So it's not like your tableau cards are just going to sit there until you do something, or you can just be like, oh, I just got to sit here and, you know, play a card every turn until I win the game. It's not going to happen. We have the Lassiter Pistol. Pistol, this card is worth +2 power while in your tableau. The Orion Cruiser. Trigger this card to shuffle a location card in the market back into its replenishment. Interesting to get rid of one of those. We have 2 copies of those. We have Osiris. Trigger to discard this from your tableau to gain 2 burst tokens or draw 3 cards. Very helpful. Again, look at that. Costs 7 to get, right? Persephone. Trigger to draw 3 cards or discard this card to force a player to add the black to the recycle pile. We're also going to be able to pick up River Cam. Mandatories. This one's very interesting. Discard 2 influence or else discard River Cam from your tableau at the start of your turn. Trigger. Discard any number of cards from your hand to draw that many. So yeah, you got to kind of pay to keep her around. We have Santo. Trigger to add a card in your tableau with no effect, then draw 1 card and gain 1 activation. The Security Interface Pad. When any market deck would be replenished, you may discard this card from your hand or tableau to search for any card and put it into the market. Discard this card from your hand or tableau to search that deck for any card and put... Nice. So you can basically force what's going to be out there. We're going to get Shepherd Book. Trigger this card during a fight. This character, dispatch a character in the display area or draw 1 card. It's kind of neat. So he doesn't normally fight by himself, but if he gets into a fight, he's going to win. We have Shinon. Trigger to draw a card, then gain 2 activations, or discard this to force a player to add 2 black to the recycle pile. Simon Cam. Trigger this card to prevent a character from being dispatched. He heals guys, makes sense. Sir Warwick Harrow. Gain 1 credit when you make a deal. Trigger to remove a warrant from a character in your tableau. Skunk. Trigger this card to play 2 credits and cancel a deal. So you're going to notice most of the cards in here from the core set are going to be helpful for either the Alliance or Serenity. So lots of the symbols. Alliance, we have 1 for Badger, but like most of the other characters have been Serenity or lots of Alliance stuff. A couple Badger cards. A couple for each faction. We kind of see where they're more aimed at, right? We have Womack. Trigger to gain 1 activation. You may then discard 1 card from your hand to gain 1 more activation. Right, for Niska here. Pay 3 credits to dispatch a character in any player's tableau, even your own. Yun Kui, another Firefly unit. Trigger this card to draw a card when you play a maneuver. Alright, so that is what we have for the core set. 25 cards in that deck. Let's jump over to Border Space. Kind of going outwards. So we're going to get the RSV. So we've had that one before in the other deck. Just to kind of note this, right? So it's 2 and 2. Asset, same thing there. When this card is used in a fight, discard a card from your hand. Does the same thing, same cost. The difference is though on the core, you can actually buy a little bit cheaper if you're the Alliance. It's just kind of neat. We have another Firefly. We have Bonnie May. Trigger this card to gain 1 credit when you make a deal. The Ava suit. For each ship in your tableau is worth plus 1 power. Discard this card from your tableau for plus 1 power in a fight. The Grange Brothers. Don't do anything special, but they are fighting. Gravitation Accelerator. Trigger a ship in your tableau, then draw 2 cards. So you can see we have a lot more stuff dealing with ships in here. Hold on Washburns. We get wash here in the rim. Or sorry, the border space. Discard this card and a ship to evade a fight. Just a horse. Discard this card from your tableau to reset a character, cycle the market. Jane Cobb. Mandatory. Pay 1 credit or discard Jane Cobb from your tableau at the start of your turn. Trigger, draw 3 cards. So kind of like River, but you have to pay him, which makes sense. We have Kaylee Fry. Trigger, draw 3 cards, add 1 to your hand, discard the others. Lund, you must spend 1 credit to add his power to a fight. The Glutchlick Jai 642X. Dispatch a character. This can target any character in play. Mare's Leg. Again, I like some of these simple ones, like nothing effect, they just do something. So to help out the Alliance, we're going to get 2 more Marine cards. So there's 1 power when using fights in the Marines. This will definitely help them out. We have Patience, who works with Niska for some reason, not really sure there. When Patience in a fight, all double cross cards, add plus 2 power to fights, gain 1 activation. So she's going to be better if you're using that double cross card. From the supply deck, but if it's not there, if you're not using it in this game, she's not going to be as effective. We have Zhang Jing, gain 1 activation, then reset this card. It's kind of cool, right? You use it and then have it not take up your hand. We get Saffron. Discard this card from your hand, or from your tableau to retain 1 supply card in your display area. That is super helpful. Get some more planets here. We have Silverhold, pay 3 credits to gain 1 verse, or pay 1 verse to gain 3 credits. Say Albans, trigger, each player may shuffle their cycle power to draw 1 random card from it. Stark, when Stark's power is +1 when used to fight to nab a character. Some of our mutters here. We have Stick Hessian. Discard Stick Hessian from a fight to draw 2 cards. His power is no longer applied to the spike, and he may not be played to the spike again. Kind of interesting. Like, right, he's really powerful to fight, or you can kind of like buy him off. We have the Patron. Trigger a card in your tableau without an effect to dispatch a character in a player's display area. The Thunderbird. Shuffle your recycle pile and draw a random card from it. 2 Fry. 2 Fry has +1 power if Whitefall is anywhere in play. And then we have Whitefall to go with him. So Whitefall says, draw 1 card. If you draw a card with a deal, draw 1 more card. Cool. Alright, then we're looking at the rim space. So there we're going to start with Amond Gull. Discard an untriggered card with a deal from your hand or tableau to draw 2 cards. Baelmond. Discard 3 cards from your hand to gain 1 supply. Billy. Discard this card from your tableau to draw 1 card or to cycle a card in the market. The Bonanza. So our 3rd Firefly ship. Besides Serenity. Gain a maneuver card from your supply board when you win a fight. Bree, trigger to discard card of the ship asset and draw 2 cards. Carry On House, There's a big electrical fence. Discard another asset from your tableau to gain 3 credits. Shari. Trigger this card to pay 2 credits to dispatch any character in display during a fight. Corbin. Add any card from your recycle pile to your hand, then discard 2 cards from your hand. The Crybaby. Discard this card from your tableau to the opposing player's recycling pile to evade a fight. That's kind of neat, right? Because they get it, so it kind of be transferred around. We have Deadwood. Discard 2 untriggered cards from your hand or tableau to gain a verse token. The Hacking Rig. Discard this card to trigger a card in another player's tableau without an effect to gain 1 activation. A Horse. Discard a card from your tableau to reset a character or cycle a card in the market. The IVA Dortmunder. This card's influence is 1 for each core space card in play. Now, is that the same as the one that the Alliance has? It's the same picture, but it is a different thing. Kind of neat. A little bit different ship then. We have Jesse. Discard a card with a cost of 3 or more to retain a maneuver. Lin Shin's Bazaar. Gain 1 activation and spend 1 credit to gain 1 more activation. You just only do it once, I'm assuming. Lilac. Discard a card with a fight to gain 2 credits. Marco. Discard this card when any deal is canceled to draw a card. Very specific, would be very helpful. Nandy. Anytime you may spend credits to increase Nandy's influence by 1 for every 3 credits you spend. This effect lasts until the end of the current action. Interesting. We got another one of the pictures of nav charts. Cycle any number of market cards all at once other than Reavers. The nutrition bars. Discard this card in any other player's recycle pile to gain 1 activation. The SS Walden. Trigger a card in another player's tableau to add influence to your pool. Sash. +1 to Sash's power for each ship in your tableau. Scanner Array. Discard this card with the top card of any deck, player, or market. Put it back on the top or the bottom. Nice. Tracy Smith, gain 1 recruitment. And finally, we have Vero. When this card is in play, you do not need to spend 1 credit to keep Jane Cobb in play. So these are really cool. The really other thing that's really fun about these different decks is the fact is we have 75 different cards, 25 in each deck. And except for very few cards like the Henchmen, the Horses, and there's like 1 other card early on. There's not like a ton of crossover. Like they could have had like a bunch of cards, like they could have had like 10 of each card in each deck, like repeat from other different sets and this and that. But like the fact that almost all of them are completely different. Also, the fact is I like with the little dots on the bottom is that they do have like 1 promo expansion we'll go through at the end of the video. But they can do expansions for the set easily and add like easily add like another 10 cards to each deck, right? Add some other characters, add stuff from maybe the Serenity movie, or maybe something from, I don't know if they want to do the comic books just because then you're mixing artwork. But there's a lot of other characters in these, like the Firefly, the board game. There's so many characters and cards and ships and all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff they could add to this. And the fact is you could use them different symbols on the bottom to limit them. So you could make like all the new ones, maybe give them, like we have a square, a triangle, and a circle. Maybe give them a hexagon or give them a rectangle, like an oval, like a line or something, like a dash, or a starburst or something. You could be like, okay, this expansion has these. These guys are like, if you want, like, so you're not having too many cards. Maybe it might be like, to play these, you can only have 3 symbols, right? So, because every card has a symbol. So maybe it's like, if I want to play like the Starburst, I have to remove like all the circle cards or all the square cards to keep the numbers the same. And that could be a very interesting idea or mechanics. Like, I don't know if they're going to make more. I really hope that maybe they do. That'd be kind of cool. Alright, then we have the reverse cards. We have 8 of these. So we have 3 copies of the 7 cost one, which when these are out, they say discard 2 random cards from your hand at the start of your turn. No player can win the game. Defeat this card if you play a Crazy Ivan or Full Burn. Otherwise, you have to spend 2 burst tokens per player or fight it. So these are fighting 7. It's going to be kind of hard to defeat these. 2 burst tokens is probably the easier way to defeat them. But again, that means you're losing if you spend your burst token, you're losing it until someone else spends it, or you spend 2 just to get rid of it. You might just choose to use it and lose your stuff. Yeah, everyone else is going to get affected by it, but it's also not going to come back around and hit you again. We have 3 copies of the 8 defense, which is Reaver Threat. Discard a card from your tableau at the start of your turn. Add 1 the black to your recycle pile at the end of your turn. You can't discard a card, select a card at random from your hand, and remove it from the game. So yeah, basically if your tableau starts getting too low, if this is out, you're going to start losing cards, which is really bad. And then we have 2 copies of the level 9, which is the Reaver Raiding Party. Discard a card from your tableau at the start of your turn. If you can't discard a card, lose a card at random from your hand, remove from the game. You may not gain from the supply sets or any markets from this deck. So that one's even kind of almost just as bad, right? You can't gain stuff. And again, you could have multiple of these out. You can also choose how many you put in there. You could put 1 in each deck. You could put 1 card total and just have like, okay, only if we're in rim space we have to worry about it. It's just kind of neat. You have adjustable way to like increase the difficulty. And they can even do some interesting stuff like that with again, if you made an expansion, you could either have some different Reaver cards or have some other different stuff. Maybe have like, my thought is like maybe if you had like specific enemies that kind of work the same way. Like maybe you had some Niska enforcers or Alliance patrol guys, right? They came out and then, so instead of affecting everybody, they affect everyone but that one class, right? And that'd be kind of an interesting idea as well, right? So you have some like ease down like henchmen or something, right? So you have like these different cards that would like, they'd come out and they'd make the game harder for all the other players, but then that one player would be like perfectly fine, so they're not worried about it. Yeah, that'd be kind of a neat thing. Then we have episodes here. So we're gonna go ahead and jump through these. So it's gonna show Dirt Kissing, Win Condition. Power in the tableau, so the same there. Or start your turn with at least 2 locations from the market in your tableau. Yeah, this could be very interesting ways you're going to get that. You're going to supply, you're going to Misbehave, Paddler, Fulber, and Crazy Ivy. But then you're Ivan, but you're also only going to use the square and circle cards. We have Bushwhacked. Win condition, start your turn with 2 market cards in your tableau and no double cross supply cards in the supply. Then make a deal for a card in the market. So someone has to literally buy all the double cross cards and then make a deal. So this is kind of changes up how it wins because you're not just trying to build up your tableau. We have Crime and Politics. Win condition, start your turn with at least 4 core cards in your tableau and at least 8 credits. Setup. Deal a random Reaver into the core deck. And then determine you can set your deck how you want it. Leave you hanging, hurt your feelings. Win condition. Start your turn. There was 4 market cards in the tableau. Special rules. Players gain 2 credits after they make or cancel a deal. So interesting. You have to buy these cards and you have to get them into your tableau. And that make people like dispatching your cards is going to be a lot more common. Meet the real you. Win condition. Start your turn with a full command area or with a nabbed character in your tableau. The nabbed character with your verse. Mark the nabbed character with a verse token when it's played in your tableau. If a player nabs another player's marked character, they immediately win. Ooh, so that's really tricky, right? Because you have to get it, but then now you have to defend that character for a full round before somebody else takes it. Otherwise, they auto-win. Setup. Each player adds 2 different cards from the board supply to their starter deck. All factions use the B side of the board. Oh, so they have 5 spots to fill as well. Cool. We have Aim to Misbehave. Win condition, win 3 fights, mark wins with your reverse token from the supply, or start your turn with a full tableau. Setup. Each faction starts with a shiny and a Misbehave in their deck. That's kind of neat too. Objects in space. Win condition, start your turn with at least 2 ships in your tableau and play a maneuver. Also add to starting decks. Eves Down, Orion Cruiser, Niska, Bonnie May, and Serenity Alliance each get a shiny. Just kind of neat, because that means the other 2 decks also start with a ship, because they didn't start with one. But then, yeah, the other guys just get a shiny to help do that. Neat. I can definitely see mixing some of these together to make some interesting new games as well. Power in the Verse. Start your turn with at least 1 card from each core, border, and rim shape bars in your tableau, not counting starter cards. Also add, Serenity gets Wash and Kaylee. Eves Down and Niska get 2 shiny, and the Alliance gets the Security Pad and Santo. That's kind of cool. Again, like, just kind of neat just to, like, everyone gets a starting card. You just can't count those as part of your winning. Take it to the rim. Win condition. Start your turn with at least 3 rim cards in your tableau. Cool. 10% or nothing. Start your turn with an item in your tableau and at least 10 credits. Special factions can spend 1 verse to cycle 2 cards. So this one might actually work very well for like Eves Down. War Stories. Start your turn with at least 3 characters in your tableau or with 1 nab character from another player's starting deck. From the starting deck. Each player starts with 4 credits. Fully Loaded. Power in the tableau, so the regular win, or start your turn with a full tableau. Players use B side of their board. So this is kind of like a very, like, we played the game a couple of times. You want a slightly different one, here's a different option to play that, or maybe an easier way to play it. No Goram deal. Use a market character in your tableau to make a deal for an asset. Interesting. Out of Gas. Start your turn with a ship from the market in your tableau. Set up each faction starts with 2 verse tokens. And we are so very pretty. Start your turn by having at least 5 of your 10 starting cards in your tableau. Oh, that's crazy. Each player chooses any 4 market cards to add to their starting deck. Or the player on their add to the starting deck of their player on right. They have the faction's verse icon at the top left. These cards do not come as starting cards. Interesting. Each player chooses 4 market cards to add to the starting deck of the player that is their faction. So you kind of have to decide what you're willing to give somebody else to start. Now again, these are all really cool, like just slightly different ways to change the game up. Also, the neat thing about it is that you could, again, like I said, you could mix and match some of these. You could, like, add this win condition with, you know, this special rule. Each player gains 2 credits after they make a deal. Or you could combine this win condition. Have 3 characters or nab another character. But, add this setup. Each player starts with 2 verse tokens. You could mix and match some of these to, like, just change up the game a bunch. Again, you're kind of just customizing your own game. So that's pretty cool. So I was saying that's all we have for the main deck. So the last thing we're going to look at is some of the promo cards. So this came with when I ordered this through the Firefly board game Kickstarter. So I'm not sure where these are going to be available. If Gale Force 9 will eventually have them on through their web store, or if they just have to pick them up, looking for them up on eBay or something like that. I can't say for sure where these will be located, because again, I got them to take a bonus purchase for ordering this during the Kickstarter campaign for the Firefly the board game. Yeah, so this is going to be 15 extra cards. So you get a couple of cards for every different deck. The only thing that's sort of weird on here is on the bottom here, it does say promo, 1 through 20. You know, we did mention, I didn't even realize that. It said the star. And I did say, like, hey, what if they added this? So you can usually include, so you can tell if you want to include these or not. This is definitely a great way they could do extra promotion. You'd be like, hey, we can include the star in there, take the star out, put in a different color. I have to see if they add up to this. They're probably not going to add up to the same number. But although showing this, it does say 21 cards and we only get 15. So we don't get a couple of the cards that are listed as promos. I also do not know where they're available from. I couldn't find anything online exactly, so if they're planning another pack and they just didn't do it, or if they're like convention exclusives, alt art, something, I don't know. But here we have our core space cards. We have Artful Daggers. We get our fourth different Firefly ship. Play a maneuver with a prerequisite of a ship. So it's kind of cool to get a free one. We have Bellerophon. Spend 2 credits to discard 2 cards from your hand, and then draw 3 cards. We have the Federal Agent. Cards with the fight cannot be used to cancel deals this turn. The Med Scanner. For each character the player has in their tableau, it's a random card in their hand. And then we have the Shuttle. Gain 1 credit for each character in your tableau. So you have 5 brand new cards added in your deck. Which again, little tiny packs like this aren't that much. If you threw like 1 in there, I was seeing if you had 5 or 6. It might end up making the decks too big, but I think 30 of each isn't bad. But again, that could be something where you could just take out a couple of cards here or there. So there's that. 25 divided by 3 is not quite... So it's like 7 or 8 cards each. There's probably like 1 card that's maybe a little bit higher in each different deck. So it's not too bad. For border space, we have Cunning Hack. Trigger to add 1 power to any character in a display area with fight. Esmeralda, we get our other Fireflies. So now we have all of them. Which just gets you a credit, right? Alright, so this has a new rule. It's just on the back here. For each of these cards you have in your tableau, at the start of your turn, earn 1 credit from the supply, even if they were triggered, but not if they have a warrant. So that's kind of cool. You get 1 of those. Mother's Milk. Once on your turn, you may spend 1 credit to draw a card. Knapsack Decoys. You're forced... Discard to force a player to target a different card in a fight if possible. And finally, we have Rances Burgess. You may spend 3 credits to add 1 power to any character in a fight. You may do this once per character in a fight. And then for rim space here, we have Bester. Discard Bester to reset any ship. Bullis, who has the credit symbol. Monty. Another player may pay you 2 credits if they play a card that cancels a deal while Monty is in your display area. Sheriff Boring, trigger to canceling effect that cancels a deal. And finally, 3 Hills. Yeah, it was like straight taken from like the game instead of the other thing. But that's probably cool, right? So we get these extra little cards. It's definitely something to pick up. Is it going to make or break the game? Nope. But it is very neat. And again, it's the idea that they can definitely do something minor with that. They can even do another actual expansion again. Use a different symbol. Take out these cards versus them cards. I don't know if it would be neat to like have like... It'd be hard to do a bigger expansion with like another faction. Just because of the reason you have to make another full board. I mean, obviously you could be like, oh, just use somebody else's board. Which wouldn't be an issue. I guess if you made, like... It'd be kind of neat if they had, like, 4 alternate decks, even. Like, maybe a different version of Serenity. Maybe a different version of the Alliance. And then maybe swap out Eve's Down and Niska for something different. That'd be kind of cool. They could do some neat stuff if they really wanted to expand this. Add some more supply decks would be kind of cool as well. But that is what we have for Firefly Misbehaving. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any questions, comments, hit me up in the comment section. I'll try and answer what I can, or show off specific things or compare things. Definitely don't mind doing that. If you haven't checked out the Firefly board game videos, the 10th anniversary came out. Definitely go check out them. There's like a ton of videos I did for each different set and each different expansion. I also have the other... Oh, I can't think of the name of it. It's the miniature skirmishing game. Yep, can't remember the name. Brown coats. Brown coats and something. Yeah, I have some other Firefly content. You always hit the playlist to check those out as well. See you guys later. Bye.